Ferrari's cracked the code on their car's struggles. Will it make a difference in Japan? Meanwhile, Hamilton's sprint win might be pushing Leclerc to rethink who's leading the charge at Ferrari. All things Ferrari today, so sit tight. When Lewis Hamilton announced he was joining Ferrari for the 2025 F1 season, critics quickly jumped in to argue that the seven-time world champion had lost his edge behind the wheel. Many of those same voices have pointed to Ferrari's rough start to the year as proof they were right, suggesting Hamilton isn't the driver he used to be. But team principal Fred Vasseur is having none of that. After the first two Grand Prix of the 2025 season, Hamilton sits ninth in the championship with just 9 points, all from the sprint race ahead of the Chinese Grand Prix, which he led from pole. The season opener in Australia presented a unique set of challenges, with wet conditions disrupting the expected order, and Hamilton and race engineer Riccardo Adami working to find a rhythm in their communication. The Chinese Grand Prix saw both Hamilton and teammate Charles Leclerc disqualified. Hamilton's move to Ferrari was met with skepticism from some who believe his best days are behind him. Some argue he's struggling to adapt to a new team environment, while others feel Ferrari made a mistake thinking an older driver could inject new life into the squad. But not everyone shares that view. In a recent interview, Fred Vasseur was asked if Hamilton seemed to be a bit more human since his arrival to Ferrari. Before the interviewer could complete his sentence, Vasseur cut the question short and said, "I don't know anything about that," he said, but acknowledged that certain criticisms have been, pausing for a short while, then saying, "very harsh." Thinking that Hamilton is worn out expired is harsh, and moreover it's false. Look at his race last year. He starts 16th and finishes 4th by overtaking his teammate. While the start of the 2025 season hasn't been smooth sailing, for either Hamilton or Ferrari, both have shown a clear commitment to each other, which suggests a positive working environment. The results might not be there yet, but the shared determination to grow together is a good sign for the future. In keeping with that desire, Ferrari are reportedly convinced that the SF25 car will finally show its true potential at this weekend's Japanese Grand Prix, following a breakthrough in the team's simulator. The Scuderia have yet to meet expectations at the start of the 2025 F1 season, with Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc both disqualified for separate infractions at the last race in China. Leclerc's car was found to be underweight in Shanghai, while Hamilton was excluded from the results for excessive wear to his skid blocks. This marked the second time in 18 months that Hamilton has been disqualified for skid block issues, the first being at the 2023 United States Grand Prix during his final season with Mercedes. Hamilton's issue came just a week after Ferrari were reportedly forced to adjust their ride height at the season-opening Australian Grand Prix in Melbourne. It was said that after Friday practice in Australia, where Leclerc set the fastest time in FP2, the team realised their car was running too low. These adjustments compromised both Leclerc and Hamilton's performance for the remainder of the weekend, resulting in finishes of 8th and 10th in the rain-affected race. The 2-week break between the Chinese and Japanese Grand Prix has given Ferrari a chance to address the early season issues with the SF25. It's now reported that the team is heading to Suzuka with renewed confidence after identifying a solution to their setup struggles through work in their Maranello simulator. According to La Gazzetta dello Sport, Ferrari has tested up to 20 different setup changes in the sim since China, aiming to resolve their teething problems. Ferrari, who've returned to a pull-rod front suspension layout with the SF25 for the first time in a decade, will run a different combination of suspension settings at both the front and rear axles for the Japanese Grand Prix compared to the first two races. The team is confident that there are no fundamental issues with their 2025 design and hopes that these adjustments will unlock the car's true pace this weekend, ahead of their first major upgrade of the season in Bahrain next weekend. The Bahrain upgrade will focus on the Coke bottle area around the side pods and engine cover, as well as the base of the diffuser, with a larger upgrade package planned for the Miami Grand Prix in early May. Ferrari acknowledges that their biggest issue so far in 2025 is a mismatch between the mechanical response of the suspension and the car's aerodynamic balance, particularly at the rear. The car is extremely sensitive to changes in ride height, which causes a significant loss of downforce if it falls outside its optimal window. Moving on to the drivers, ex-F1 driver Ralf Schumacher observed some tension at Ferrari following Charles Leclerc's impressive recovery during the Chinese Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton had a strong start to the weekend in Shanghai, dominating the sprint events. He took pole in sprint qualifying and went on to secure a comfortable victory in the sprint race. However, Ferrari couldn't match this performance in the main qualifying session, with Leclerc and teammate Carlos Sainz lining up 5th and 6th on the grid. Sunday's race was a disaster for Ferrari, as they struggled for pace compared to the top 3 teams. Things got even worse for the Scuderia when both cars were disqualified for technical violations. Speaking to Formula1.de, Schumacher commented, "When you don't know the team that well, you're new until you get the hang of it. Until your engineer understands you, it takes a few months, and I think you saw that on Sunday." Of course, it wasn't in free air, which makes a big difference in China, and his teammate passed him with the broken wing because I have to say, for the aerodynamicists, put 6 broken front wings in, they will work just as well or better than a whole one. So it's a bit of a hard one to understand, but I think he did a good, solid job, and I think Charles Leclerc also woke up. I think that annoyed him, and there was some tension. Hamilton wasn't used to being told to drive fast on the teammates' side. Schumacher also believes China was a breakthrough weekend for Hamilton, who proved he still has the speed. It was the first time Hamilton had won a sprint race since the format was introduced in 2021. More importantly, Hamilton hit the ground running in terms of pace, something that wasn't always the case during his time at Mercedes. What did surprise me is that he really got on really well with the car in the first practice session, and that was always such an issue for him, Schumacher explained. He brakes like that and couldn't turn in, and then he says, "Man, I drove here. First lap. And of course it works straight away, and the track suits me. This means that everything came together, which makes me happy because it proves that he still has the speed, because that's always a bit of a question as you get older. So he has the speed now, it's just a question of can he keep it up. That's what I meant from the start." Someone who is also echoing the same sentiments is Jacques Villeneuve. Ferrari will be aiming to bounce back at the Japanese Grand Prix this weekend, the 3rd round of the 2025 season. However, 1997 F1 world champion Jacques Villeneuve believes Hamilton's sprint win puts him in a privileged position within the Italian team. "Lewis, having won a race, I'm not sure it's very good for the relationship with Leclerc," Villeneuve said. "It really puts Lewis in a privileged place within the team. He was already the biggest name, the biggest star, and now he's the one who got a win for Ferrari when all the other races have been awful." After the disqualifications, Hamilton finds himself in 9th place in the drivers' standings after 2 races, just a single point ahead of Leclerc in 10th. Villeneuve didn't hold back, calling Hamilton's sprint win incredible, and pointing out that it's been nothing short of a disaster for Ferrari, especially compared to the British driver's impressive start since his move to the Scuderia from Mercedes. He won a sprint race. He's had a great start. Lewis got a pole in a sprint race, and that's actually very good. It's more than what people were expecting in the first 2 races. His Saturday in China was incredible because it wasn't the best car, it wasn't a winning car, and he was really on it. He maximised the fact that he was on pole and controlled that sprint race. From what I heard, Ferrari then made some changes for the actual race, and it just wasn't as good. But anyway, they got disqualified. It's more a bad start to a season for Ferrari than it is for Lewis. So do you believe that Ferrari have finally figured out what has been going wrong with their car? And is there any truth to Schumacher and Villeneuve's beliefs that tension may be brewing underneath the surface between Hamilton and Leclerc? Let me know what you think down below. That's all for today, so thanks for watching.